Hey, and welcome back or welcome to the Talk with Bri Podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Simmons. Guys, I hope you're doing well. This week's episode is a continuation of the Leap of Faith series. I mentioned last year that along with continuing the Outside Looking In series, I will be starting the Leap of Faith series where I'll be interviewing folks who have either, taken a step towards a major shift in life, be it deciding to move to another country, another state, shifting in their careers, or like me, taking the chance and starting something they've always wanted to do. One of the things that I love about the podcast is, aside from it being a platform for me to share my journey, it also allows me to share the amazing people in my life and the wonderful things they're doing. My guest today is Jacienth Warner. She is a registered nurse who specializes in the emergency room in New York City. As a nurse, she has served various populations such as pediatrics, young adults, geriatrics, homeless, and psychiatric. Jacienth is an author, y'all. Okay, she published her first book, Breaking Bounds, in 2022. We'll get more into this, but look how cute this is. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Okay. The book is partly based on her life and tells of the struggle of a young aspiring nurse who uses her faith in God and perseverance to accomplish her dreams. In her spare time, she enjoys shopping, going to the gym. I mean, who doesn't? And spending time with her friends and family. Jacienth, welcome to the show.
Hi, Sabrina. Thank you for having me.
So, Shay, I am so excited for you to be on the show, and I have some questions for you. So let's get into it. Are you ready?
Ready. Let's get into it.
All right, girl. So I know, you're a nurse and you wrote this book and it's great and wonderful, but I want to know, have you always wanted to be a nurse, or what inspired you to be a nurse?
So I did always want to be a nurse. I grew up being around my aunt. She is a neonatal nurse practitioner, and just seeing her come home from work with these little small tiny diapers, telling her different experiences about different things that she experienced at work, and then just naturally having that care for wanting to care for people. And there was a program in my high school that was considered like a pre-nursing program where it actually allowed you to get your CNA certification. So it opened up the doorways for me to go into the medical field and to eventually become a nurse.
So for those of us who may not know what a CNA stands, so you started off as a CNA.
Yes, a certified nurse's assistant.
Okay, so you've been in the game a while then.
Girl, yes, for a while.
That's good to know. So, yeah. When you started off as a nursing assistant and you were doing that for a few years, you graduated, right, nursing school in August 2020. And then you started working November 2020. I have a two-part question for you. What was it like pursuing your nursing career, right, during the pandemic, and then starting your nursing career at the height of the pandemic? What was that like for you?
So pursuing my nursing career, when the pandemic happened, it was my last semester of nursing school. So it transitioned to online. So in my fifth semester, I had to transition to virtual clinicals, we would say. I had to transition to virtual classes. Studying was different. I do have a study group. Shout out to my study group. That got me through nursing school. But it was totally different. Whereas we would be in the library until 11 p.m. at night. Was more distracted being at home on my laptop, watching TV. So it was definitely a different experience. And pursuing my nursing career, when I first started working in November, it was very different because at the same time, I worked so hard for my license. So I didn't just want to get up and just go say, oh, I'm working in a facility. I knew a few people that did that and they weren't getting the proper training that they needed. They weren't, basically, they didn't know what they were doing. They were getting high rates of paying, but at any time, your license can be taken from you.
Right.
So I took a different route and I started doing the COVID testing and the COVID vaccines for the first few months of my career. Yeah.
So you were very strategic with how you started out, right? Some folks were jumping in. They were like, oh, I'm gonna make make this money and we're going to get it going. But you were like, listen, my license is too important to me to take that chance. So you looked at a way to get the experience that you need, but also making sure that you were also offering assistance. So what was that like doing the COVID vaccine and also testing?
So doing the COVID vaccines and the testing, it wasn't as hard as I would say, obviously working in a hospital was, but it was definitely different interactions with people, seeing and hearing about different things that they went through during COVID that I never experienced myself. And that I never, like, you hear about the worst stories ever on TV,
right?
But you're never face to face with somebody that, oh, I had 5 family members pass away. I had COVID myself. I had a tube down my throat. I was intubated. So just hearing those different stories, definitely made me take a step back and listen, and, look at things differently. Like, there's people out there that actually did have a rough time with COVID, especially in the Black community. When they started doing the vaccines, everybody's like, oh no, I'm not taking the vaccine. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
When there was people literally crying that were being turned away from actually getting it. So
really,
it was definitely a different perspective. Yes.
Wow. I can't imagine what that must have kind of been like, right? Because you're like the gatekeeper with the vaccines. And I remember hearing, oh my goodness, I don't know where I was. I was somewhere one time. I tried to was trying to get groceries, and I overheard a couple saying that they drove upstate to get the vaccine, like Buffalo. And I was like, wait, what? It made me realize like people out there were really serious about it. They were like, I need my life. And, other folks, depending on what WhatsApp University was telling, people that we know, because listen, y'all don't act like you don't know. WhatsApp University was not the MD, right, of the whole of the whole Black community. It's so unfortunate, right? Especially the West Indian community. I can't tell you how many times. Girl, speak on it, because you probably heard more than I did.
The elderberry, the garlic, the onion in the sock, everything. Okay.
Wait, onion in the sock?
Yes, girl, everything.
The stories that were out there, and I get it, it was fear, communication, people, it's a heightened time. So everything that goes out there, it's heightened. But then you have, medical professionals who are like, listen, we're here. This is what we do. We're going to get us through this. So just hearing your perspective of just saying, people were crying and people were like, this is what I've been through, and I'm grateful that I get the opportunity to get this, because let's be real, there are other countries where they didn't receive the vaccine as fast as we did, right? The privileges that we have here.
Right.
But I like what you said about being strategic with your career, right? And what I know of you, you seem to be very, Shay says she's an introvert, y'all. She's an introvert. But I think, with that introversion, there's also intention and purpose behind things that you do, right? You are in this field and you're going into it, but you didn't just go into it lightly, right? I like the fact that you started off as a CNA because you had that passion. And then you went another step and you're like, okay, I went into nursing school, I finished. Now, let me find another way around getting the experience that I needed to get, my foot in the door. So I want to know, right, during that time, right, what were some of the things that you did to kind of balance and woosah yourself as you were administering care in the form of like testing and COVID vaccines?
So during that time, I would just sometimes, if I had to, I would call out. I would stay in my bed, watch a movie, read a book. Like I took times. I'm not that type of person that lets the job ever get to me to a certain sense. Like all my friends know that about me. Like I will take the time out to take care of myself. So whether it's staying in bed, watching a movie, talking on the phone with one of my friends, just talking about an experience that I had during that day. There was very limited things that we could actually do. So that's basically what I kind of did.
Okay.
Ate a lot of food. I gained a good like 30 pounds through
COVID
COVID.
way, girl. The COVID 15 or COVID 30, depending on where you what side you're on the fence.
COVID
But here
30.
you are now, and you're I wouldn't say you're a baby nurse anymore. You're probably a toddler nurse or a teenager nurse, preteen nurse. But you work in one of the most, I would say, interesting population, like interesting communities in New York, right? You work in the South Bronx, and I just want to know, you are constantly dealing with different populations of people. How do you manage to find the balance in between all of that?
How do I manage? I don't know.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
How do I
I might
manage?
keep that in. How do you manage? She's like, I don't know.
Girl, I don't know. I just do it. I really don't know. So I do work in the South Bronx. When I first started working, because the population was so different to me, I used to be so anxious all the time. I used to have to write. I used to have to pray. Like, it was really bad. And then now that I'm working, I'm going to be there for about 2 years now. I know that I kind of have to leave out of this community in a sense, because I feel like I'm getting a little desensitized to certain things that I'm experiencing, like on a daily. It's just like nothing to me. Like, yeah, 30-year-old just came in, overdosed on fentanyl. Like, okay, it's regular. Like, you know what I mean? So how do I manage now? It's like kind of the norm in a sense, where to the average person, it will be like, oh my gosh. So girl, I don't know how I'm managing.
But I think in some ways, I wouldn't say, I mean, when we say desensitized, people might think, oh my gosh, she's desensitized as a nurse. But there's a part of you that has to kind of close off, right? And protect the other part of you. You have to look at it like, yes, this is unfortunate, but my job here is to offer care. My job here is to administer care. So while 30 overdose, for the average person, man, I'd be crying my eyes out, right? That's why I'm not a nurse. But for you, you're like, listen, I have to kind of close that part off and get into the trenches. Because it's like a soldier in war, right? When you go to war, you can't be, oh, this is so crazy. I can't believe I'm here. You got to shut that part off and keep it moving.
Yes. Right.
And I like what you said, where you're like, you don't let the job kind of take you over, right? So I think that's your form of coping, where you're like, listen, I gotta pull back and either take a day off or do some, have some me time and keep it moving. But when you said that in the beginning, you really had to like write out your prayers. Like, I do know you're a believer. We go to the same church. How has your faith impacted your journey as you know?
So my faith has impacted my journey by basically allowing me to see how blessed I am, I would say. And for even some of the patients that are there that think that are about to die, I'm able to like say a quick prayer over them. Like, I remember there was this one specific case that I had. There was this guy, he was 35 years old. Obviously, because of HIPAA, I can't get into detail, but he had a headache for like a week, and it was like bad. And his wife, basically, she said he's like a baby when he's sick or whatever. So he came in, and from the 5 minutes that he was basically in intake, which is like kind of like a triage area, and then he literally changed in like the matter of 5 minutes. Like, one side of his brain shifted to the other.
What?
So he has like, in the matter of 5 minutes.
Right.
So like neurosurgery came down and everything. And they're like, oh yeah, like he's dead. He's going to seize and die. Like, there's nothing that we can do. Let's sedate him. Let's get him to CAT scan, but he's dead. Like, it's either he's going to die or he's going to just seize and die. So I'm like, this guy is healthy. Like, and at the same time, I'm working with another coworker, and she just like, I'm like, they don't know the God that I serve.
Right.
So praying. I'm literally, me and
Mm-hmm.
her, we're praying over him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little emotional. But like the neurosurgery, he's just like, no, like, we've never seen a case like this before. Da, da, da. So then
Mm.
obviously my shift ended, and like a week later, I'm working with the doctor that was working with me. So I'm like, Doc, like, what's going on with that guy?
Yeah.
And then he's just like, oh, let's look up on him. He was just like, I remember his name because that was a very interesting case. He's 35.
Right.
So then when he looked and was reading up the notes, it's like, oh, he was extubated. He's talking. Like, so I'm like, look at what the neurosurgeon is saying. And me and my coworker, we literally over him praying. When we were praying, like you literally, because he can hear everything. You literally saw it. That was like one of the most emotional cases that I had to deal with. So it's just like being able to use my faith and pray over patients.
Right.
Like, it has made me more stronger of a believer, and also has made me feel more grateful, I should say.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God.
People that are sick that wake up one day with a headache. Who knows that a headache is going to lead to a shift in the brain, and all these things that can literally take you out. So being able to actually use my faith, pray with people that don't even know. You know what I mean?
Shay, that wow. I mean, man, I don't know if I have words to explain what that just did to me, right? Because another thing that I have family members who are in the medical field, doctors, nurses, and it's one of those things where, faith sometimes for them is not that, big of a thing, depending if they're a believer or not. But I like what you said when they're like, they don't know the God that I serve, right? Mm-hmm. They don't know the God that I serve. And even just to be able to say, okay, let me just pray, right? And see what it is. Because they were like, listen, he's going to seize and die. We just let him seize and die, or we just intubate him and just put him over there. He'll be fine. But he'll be dead. Right. So it's almost like they gave up because it's a standard procedure. This is stuff that they see every day, but this is what faith does, right? Faith moves mountains. Right. And I thank God that you're in the field that you're in, because again, I tell people it's a calling. Okay. Nursing is physically demanding, emotionally, mentally. So if you're not called to this, don't do it. You will burn out in less than 2 years.
Literally.
Yeah. So knowing that, there are nurses like you that are out there who are able to use their faith to, even just to pray over someone, it really is encouraging. And, to God, all the glory is given at, obviously, because he's the one who gets it. But, it's great to hear you said that it makes you stronger, right? Like, there are some times where you might feel like, I don't read the Bible every day, or I don't pray every day. But there are times when it's like, all right, listen, this is when it is, as long as you're trying. So, girl, a virtual hug to you, girl. Virtual hug to you. That was beautiful. What I want to get into is this book. Okay. This beautiful book. Y'all see this? Okay. I need to get my sign. I need to get my signature, my autograph, please. Thank you. Yes. When I see you, please make sure you sign my book. But you wrote this book, right? And it's a fictional book, so the story is really cute. But you wrote this book in 2022, and it's loosely based on your life. And I wanted to kind of get into it. What inspired you, aside from it being, just about loosely on your life? What inspired you to take the author route?
So actually, I was looking for I'm a type of person, I want to make nursing a gateway for other ways of income. Mm-hmm. So I was inspired by one of my fellow friends, as you know, Ashia, and we're in a financial group, and she challenged all of us to write a book.
Oh, okay.
So I took up on the challenge, and I said, I should write about my story. Like, I started off, it's loosely based on my life. I started off as you know, a CNA. I took like a 7-year break, and then I was trying to get into nursing school. I was denied, and so then one of my other friends ended up being with me, praying with me, your sister as well, Shaquila, fasting with me. And I worked towards end up obviously getting into nursing school, getting through, and just achieving my dream.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love it. And not for anything, people don't realize how hard it is to get into nursing school. That's like, it's no joke.
Girl.
Listen, the girl, that right there, it says it's 1,000 words. Okay. It's no joke to get into nursing school. I know people who have tried many times and have, taken a longer break than a 7-year break, because they're like, so I got to just come back to this after. But I want to know, what do you see yourself doing? Do you see yourself writing more books as you continue along the way? Do you see yourself as a writer? Because there's so many parts to Shay. So I want to know, what's the writer side doing? Is she going to write some more books? What's happening?
I don't know what the writer side, Shay. Like, that might have been a one-time deal. We'll see. Who knows what the future holds? But as for right now, it's a thing that I did. I checked it off. We'll see.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. You're open to whatever it is that, whatever the future holds. I like that. That's how you gotta be. I have another question for you. What is the biggest challenge you're facing right now in your role? Be it as a nurse, as a person, as just as Shay, and how are you tackling it?
The biggest challenge.
Yes, girl. I know.
Thank God you can edit this. So I would say my biggest challenge is finding time for myself, because right now I'm working 2 jobs. I'm working as my staff job, and I'm also doing a contract, local contract. So it would be like, if I have to call out, I have to call out, but also having to uphold my reputation that I have, with my both jobs, because who knows, anything can happen. You have to use your references, whatever.
Yeah.
So that would probably be my biggest challenge, like just finding time for myself right now.
I like it. And what future goals do you see Shay accomplishing?
So some future goals might be, right now I'm in the process of trying to purchase my first multi-family house.
Yes.
Because I'm trying to get into real estate. And actually getting my nurse practitioner license. I'm going to start. That's the goal for this year, for me to start the F&P program. Be a nurse practitioner, so I can have more flexibility with being a nurse. I can prescribe and, open my own practice if maybe. So, yeah.
Right. Entrepreneurship is in the future.
Yes.
Yes.
Claiming it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Shay, I cannot thank you enough for coming on the podcast. Girl, I know, you're a little nervous, but your story needs to be told, right? Your leap of faith story, when you think about it, you took a break. You started off as a CNA, but you had the call and the desire to pursue your nursing goals, and you went ahead and you did it. And in that time, you discovered parts of yourself that you probably didn't even realize, right? Perseverance, right? You discovered the fact that you're an author. And then on top of that, you're saying, well, I don't just want this to be a one thing. I want to find ways to make my nursing career, open up different doors for me. And I love that. And I applaud that. I want to thank you again so much for joining me. Please tell the audience where they can find you to follow you along your journey.
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram at Cocoa Butter RN, COCOA_BUTTERRN. And yeah.
Yes. I will be putting Shay's information in the description box. Please make sure you check it out there. Do you have anything else that you'd like to end out with the people or say to the people before I sign off on this pod?
Just be yourself. Do different opportunities like what I'm doing right now, opening. Yes, I am an introvert, but I did take Sabrina up on the offer, and I'm happy that I did. That maybe she learned a little bit more about me, and that you guys can also use my journey as maybe a inspiration to pursue whatever you want in life, not just nursing, but anything that you put your mind to that you want to do.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And yes, I did find out some more about you, which as usual, I love it. That's the whole purpose of the platform. Guys, don't forget to rate the podcast, share it with a friend. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, like the video, and turn on the notification bell so you can be notified whenever a new video has been uploaded. If you want to reach out, if you want to share your leap of faith story, please drop me a line at talkswithbripod@gmail.com. And if you want to follow the podcast on social, you can check it out on Instagram at talkswithbri_pod. Guys, as I like to end out, I always say, aside from thank you for joining me on this Leap of Faith series, I want to wish you all an amazing week. And as you go through the week, don't forget to take a moment, be present, be still, and remember where you have been and appreciate where you are. And just to steal a line from Shay, always try to find balance, right? This is Sabrina and my guest Shay, Jacienth, signing out. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Whatever you think, can you do some more now? Swear you got me falling for you.